Today we are going to study text, genre, discourse, how these three are linked together, and how do we analyze and try to find a genre, a type of a genre, or type of a genre. We have already discussed the difference between text and discourse, and therefore I will not go into detail of this because I'm just going to explain that we know that text is some kind of symbols, some words joined together to give certain meaning. However, if we look at the sentences and use them in a specific context, we would, if we look at pragmatics, the way a user is using a language, for example, a speaker using any kind of word may have different meaning, completely different meaning in from the literal meaning of the word or the sentence which is used. So discourse is the combination of text. The text is used within the discourse, and it is produced in specific time period by a specific person, and it is presenting some kind of a stance from the perspective of the speaker. Though it may have the same meaning, but there are multiple things which add to the meaning of text when it comes to discourse. So someone saying good morning may have just as a text, it is good and morning, right? These two words combine together to form a greeting, that is text. However, when it comes to discourse, when you apply it in a specific context, so someone waking up in morning will have can say and can greet good morning. But someone who is waking up quite late and someone is sarcastically saying good morning to the person, it means completely different. So though the text is used, though the words are used in the same way, but the way they are used in the time and from the perspective of the speaker, they may have a different meaning. That is the part of discourse. What is genre? Type of communicative event that, number one, creates or foregrounds specific relations between participants. So a genre is a specific type of discourse. That is, when you look at the discourse, you know who is speaking. I have given this example to you people in many previous classes as well, that if two people are standing together and they are talking, you don't know those two people, that they are communicating, and you're just listening to them, right? But when you listen to them, you have a little idea about their relationship, about who they are, or what they're talking about, how educated they are, or different things, right? Now, how do you get to know about uh, all these things? Because every communicative event, the kind of a language which is used in that communicative event is it tells you that who these two people are. Same is the case with the genre as well, that it's a type of communicative event that tells you, or it creates a specific relationship between the participants, and it fulfills specific communicative purpose. So if a teacher is talking to a student, it is for the information purpose, and no matter wherever you see every teacher communicating for the purpose of giving knowledge to their students, they would be using the same kind of language. So that is then that falls under the category of a genre. We have basically primary, and according to Bakhtin, we have a primary and a secondary genres. According to Bakhtin, these secondary and primary speech genres are divided based on the nature. That is, in primary speech genres, like the conversation, the very sentences, phrases, and all these are, can be used in different ways to form secondary genres, which are more refined and more complex. And for example, we have novel, and within novel we use so many different primary genres to make it to make it a novel. And within novel, then we have rom-com, we have, within that we have a lot of types, or tragedy, or we have different types of um, novels as well. So all these primary genres make it secondary genres, the way we use those primary genres. So simple terms like a letter, or a language from the court, are also present in these novels, but the way we use them makes them a different genre. So the relationship between the participants, and the communicative process, the way it is done, uh, can make um, uh, can make any genre. Okay. The definition of genre is that a type of communicative event in which many people engage and repeatedly. That is, when people are continuously communicating with one another, they are related to a particular area of life. So, for example, if we talk about politics, so politics is a particular area of life, and there are certain terminologies which are used in that. So it's a communicative event, and how politicians are communicating, see people engaging in repeatedly, then is related to a particular area of life, that is politics. It creates or foregrounds specific relations between the participants. So we know that the relationship it is between a politician and citizens, and then it should also fulfill a specific communicative process. And you know that there are certain ways through which they communicate. It's not everyone can communicate to them directly, so it's the indirect communication that we have. And the kind of communication that we have with them is that they can address, and through social media, and that's how we communicate with them. And the use of uses specific discourse features and linguistic conversational devices to meet these purposes. What is discourse features and communicational devices? We'll discuss it in detail in the next slides, but let me give you an idea of what is this discourse features and conversational device. Okay, there is some kind of discourse goal, right? You are communicating for a specific purpose, but the kind of features that are going to be there in your communication, in your discourse, are going to function and would lead to some kind of results. So for example, if we talk about modality, that is, or we talk about turn taking, or is simply the kind of these auxiliaries that we use, for example, shall, can, or should, or may, or all these are used in different ways. So these are the discourse features that we are using. These discourse features, or conversational devices that we are using, would combine together and would give will meet the purpose. So for example, if use the term, um, maybe that may happen, so I am actually giving a kind of uh, I'm trying to meet this purpose, that I'm not sure about something, and that's how I achieve it. I achieve it through the use of maybe. If I say that can happen, then it means I'm trying to use more words which are strong. That is, I'm sure about something, a little sure about something. And then if I say I'm 100% sure that it is going to happen, it means that I am, emphasizing on the happening of something. So these are the discourse features. These are the conversational devices which we use to meet some purpose. Or when you abuse someone, you are, for example, when you're using swear word, you are actually trying to meet your purpose. You are meeting the purpose that, I'm angry. So you use these discourse features and conversational devices to meet some purpose that you are fulfilling. Okay. Um, Kress, 1985, defines it as conventionalized forms. Why conventionalized forms? It is conventionalized because they are the traditional forms that we are using in that context. So we know how to communicate, and we know how the letter is, we know how application is. No matter what happens, we know how to talk to a teacher, we know how to talk to a student, we know how to talk to parents. But they are forms of social occasions. So why social occasions? Because they are embedded in our society. So it is related to our societies. They are social, interactive events that lead to conventionalized forms of text. So, this conventionalized forms of social occasions, which lead to conventionalized forms of text. I'll give you an example why it is why the definition by Chris is given like this, um, because these the way we communicate with the teacher, it is happening right from the very beginning. These conventionalized forms, which really happened in our society, we learn it from them, and then we label those text forms conventionalize as well. So when you are in school, everyone in school, they get up, stand up, and they, there is some kind of anthem that they greet their teachers with, and that is good morning, ma'am. This is something which is conventionalized form of a social occasion, which has led to conventionalized form of text, the way it is performed, and it is a specific genre. So um, all in schools, when you people come to universities, when we have taken classes with the students, like they in the beginning also start to do these things. In the very beginning they start to do these things, or when they come to college they are the same. They have this habit that when the teacher asks questions, so the student gets up and then answer, though it takes some time for them to adjust themselves in the conventionalized form of university, um, uh, uh, conventionalized forms of text. So it it is the way, the forms, the occasions are working, and then those we take those texts from them, and that is related to specific genres. Genres have specific forms and meanings, and they are deriving from and encoding the functions, purposes, and meaning of the social occasion. So it's not that we only have those conventionalized forms taken from a specific occasion, but we also see that in those conventionalized forms, whatever we are saying has specific form and meaning. I'll give you example of application. So an application has a specific form and has a specific meaning, right? And it is, and you can take um, functions from them, you can take the purpose from them, and you can take the meaning from that as well. So if I show you a text which is, or for example, these ads on the television, you can guess in seconds that whether it is an ad, or whether it is whether it is um, a public service message, even though if towards the end they do not show you that it's a public service message. Still you'll be able to know whether it's a public service message, or whether it is an ad. So how do you get to know that? You get to know by the by this the words that they are using, by the conventionalized forms that they are using. Even the application, you can see what would be the application when there is no request in that. If you are not requesting something, what kind of application would that be? It's not an application where you don't have requests. So we can derive the function of that application, we can derive the purpose of that application, and we can derive the meaning from that social occasion, because application is also a social occasion. So from any genre of which has form and meaning, we can derive and we can encode. Not just deriving, but we can encode as well. Remember decoding and encoding, where encoding is forming a message. So you can not only form the function, purposes, and meaning of a social occasion, but you can also take the meaning, take the function, purpose, and meaning of the occasion from that as well. So it's for the addresser as well as for the addressee, for both. Okay, genre comprises Swales defined a genre as something which is comprises a class of communicative event, the members of which share some set of communicative purpose. So we must have a communicative event in which there is some set of communicative purpose. These purposes are recognized by the expert members of the parent discourse community, and thereby constitute the rationale of the for the genre. So Swale's definition is more of the from the perspective of a linguist. So uh, any genre, the way we form genre, or when we are analyzing it, it is a genre comprises of a class of communicative events. That communicative events is like, for example, when you say good morning and there is a reply to that, right? Or when you say how are you and there is a reply to that. So these are the events, communicative events, one after another and then another after another, in which the members of that communicative event, they are sharing some kind of purpose, why you are communicating, why you are greeting someone. You are greeting someone because of some reason. So when if you remember, I gave you an assignment of a receptionist, a conversation. So if you look at that, you'll see why they are communicating. So one person wants information and the other person is giving or providing the information. That's the communicative purpose, and which is happening in that communicative event, right? So the expert recognizes that purpose. What is that purpose? Why they are communicating, right? So for example, if someone is for example, when a student comes to me and trying to, or if someone is analyzing a message, someone is analyzing a communicative event now, in which this discourse expert is analyzing a text in which a person is communicating with the teacher that I am very sick and this and that and making excuses. Obviously the expert would know that this person wants some kind of leave or some kind of a benefit from the teacher. Maybe the student wants to be marked present or something like that. So an expert gets to know it from the communicative event and from the text which is used in that, or the discourse that is used. The rationale shapes the schematic structure and influences and constrains choice of content and style. We have already discussed the style and content. Content is whatever is used, like why the person is using or saying that I am sick, or I wasn't feeling well, and why, and maybe I went to hospital and I was hospitalized. So why is the person saying all these things, and the kind of a style that they are using, the kind of language that they are using. So through the schematic structure, we get to know what is happening in that, and we determine a genre to be a genre. Okay, so there are five principles of genre: dynamism, situatedness, form and content, duality of structure, and community ownership. The first principle is dynamism. Dynamism is that it can change over time and variation may come in it. So if you look at the ads in, from 1990s, compare it with the ads that you see today, so there is a lot of difference. Or if you look at the patterns of applications that you used to write before and compare them with now, there is difference. Previously, you used to mention um, a respected sir. Now you can say dear sir as well. And there, it was, I beg to say. Now this I beg to say has also been removed from there. So that there is this thing that is, it may change with the passage of time. Situatedness is embedded in communicative activities. That is that you know it is in the, as we've already discussed in the previous definition that we discussed, that it has some kind of event which is occurring. It is a communicative event. So any genre which is happening is the part of a communicative event. For example, if there is a novel, right, and there is some criminal novel or suspense novel, so that is that genre is embedded in the novel. So it is situated somewhere in the communicative activity or communicative event. Form and content, participants have a sense of the structure and how things should be said. So when someone is saying it or when someone is reading, they know that there is a form and there is a specific content related to that. Though letter and application both are written communication, and in both your addressee, in both your if, um, in both the addresser, or you can say the one who is writing the uh, the application or letter, um, he is or she is not aware, and he or she is not directly in face to face communication with the person. But in application and in letter, we how do we know the difference? We know the difference from the way it is written. In one we have informal language and we can use informal language, but in another we cannot use informal language. So um, in application we have formal language and we have a specific structure that we follow. So we know the form and we know the content of the application and of the letter, and we can differentiate which genre is that. We know how novel and how drama is different. When we look at a text, we know that when there are scenes and acts, we know that it's a drama. And when we look at a novel, we also know the structure of a novel. Duality of structure. Um, Text producers both draw on rules but reproduce those rules as well. It means that, as I've already talked about primary and secondary, it's something about primary and secondary as well. So we already know what are the procedures, but when we are using them when we know rules and regulations, we know how words are formed, we know how good morning is said and what is the reply of that. We know a lot of words. We know different ways of greetings, but we form a specific type of greeting and we reproduce them based on a specific genre. So when I'm talking to my friend, and or for example when I'm writing a letter, my greetings are different from the way I greet someone on the telephone call, or my greetings are very different when I greet my teacher, but it's very different when like it's face to face greeting. So it's different when it comes to a different written communication, that is a letter. So the greetings are different. Sometimes you would not greet a person. For example, if there is a notification and you cannot greet the person when you are sending a memo or when you are sending a notification. So in official notifications, for example, like notifications which are issued from government departments, they don't write "I hope you're doing well" and then they say that the university is going to be closed from this date to this date, or government has decided that due to COVID it's going to be, schools are going to be closed. So they don't greet. So sometimes greetings, so we know the rules and regulations and we reproduce. So that's the duality of structure. It must have community ownership. A discourse community recognizes the genre and enforces its norms. So we know how we use a genre and we apply it in the same way. We know how tragedy novels are. We know how how we have application, how letters are written, and we reinforce those things. We know how notifications work, and what is novel and how dramas are written. We know soap dramas are different from the from the regular dramas that we have. So prime time dramas that we have, soap dramas are, mm, they extend to a lot of episodes, and then different changes comes in. So we know the genre, and we then reinforce it's the community ownership that is there. So a discourse community recognizes the genre. Implications. Genre develop with social activities. We have already discussed that, right? um, we have new genres emerge with new activities and technologies. So if we look at the example of blogs, blogging is something which is, something which developed as a new genre in internet. We never know what was we knew what was article, like articles were in the newspaper, but it changed with the technology that now we have blogs, and every blogger writes in their own ways. That there are some bloggers um, uh, who are writing in one informal way. However, we can see that newspaper articles are very they use very formal language. So however, in blogs they may address the person as well, that is you, right? They may address the person as well, the person who is a reader. So new genres emerge with new technologies. We have like previously science fiction novels and movies were not there, but now we can see that this genre has developed, and it happened with new technologies. Any one social process, such as a hiring, may require a whole chain of genres. That's very right. That in one social process, we may require a lot of genres. So it's not necessary that we have we only use one genre. We are actually talking about the primary genres here, not the like in order to make uh, in order to make happen a social process, we require multiple genres, and those all genres help us to form. Like for example, um, we know that um, convincing someone, like it's convincing someone, right? In order to convince someone, you have to use a lot of things, that is, giving positive aspects of some product, or giving positive features of something, and the way you explain it, you negate the negative points of it, and that's how it uh, that one social process happen, because you are using different genres in that. Any one genre may belong to a set or a genre colony with parallel purposes. That is um, that is for example, we have the example of, let's suppose, articles, right? So within articles, we know what are the things that we use, but when it comes to different types of articles, they would vary. So an article written in a newspaper, it varies from the article looking at for a student, they are different. Art The student articles are different, research article is completely different. So looking at these articles, different genre articles, though they all belong to a genre colony of of articles, all of them are articles, but then every one of these article varies, and we can label them as a different genre as well. So we can say that it's a newspaper article is a different genre, and we say that internet articles, blogs articles are different genre, and so is the article mm, of research is a different genre. we can based on that we can say that. Okay, any one example may vary from the prototype, and it's not necessary that if you take an every example from the same genre, it would be the same. Let me give you example of a research article. Every research article that you read would be different, from a little bit different from the prototype, or from the basic genre of articles that we have. Little bit differences are there. So examples from that article may vary. For example, for example, when you take novel, every novel is different when it comes to, or even science fiction novels are different when it comes to a detailed analysis of any science fiction. Let's suppose you take six science fiction novel and you analyze it. So in that, everyone, though they would all fall under the category of science fiction novels as in genre, but they all are going to be um, different. In different perspectives they are going to be different. Or for example, you take greetings in primary genres. You take greetings, so the way you greet people is different from prototype greetings, right? Every time it's different, every example is different. um, or they have here given you promotional genres. It is, for example, ads. So we have newspaper ads, we have ads of like social media ads, like, or for example these TV ads. But every promotional genre would be different. Sometimes they try to use different you know reviewers. For that, they give product to a reviewer and then they review it, and they give all positive things, and it's a promotional review. So promotional genres, under promotional genres, these all uh, categories may vary as well. Okay, participants may become aware of the conventions only when they are violated. And um, how is it that a participant become aware of the conventions? A participant becomes aware of the convention when they see that it is different from the usual one. So it means it's a different genre. So for example, if there is an application that someone has written, and in that application this person has used a very informal language, then we get to know that though it's an application which is, it has certain conventions that it follows, but those conventions are violated. So we get to know it because participants in that get to know it with this violation. Different genres may have different kinds of sanctions for not following the conventions. And different genres have different they when they violate, right, when they are not following the conventions, uh, they have, it's not necessary that they will always vary in specific form, that is they would vary in the language, but they may also vary in from different in different aspects. It's not necessary that they are shifting from formal to informal, as I have given you the example that in application we use formal language. It's not necessary that maybe they are using formal language, but the kind of language that they are using is not or the choice of words, or maybe someone has added a conversation kind of communication over there. So like for example, the way you write a dialogue between two people, that this person said this and this person said this, maybe they have added. In application we do not write that. So it's not necessary that in different genres you may have uh, like the conventions can be broken, or they are not followed, and they are not followed in different ways. And that's what makes a new genre. So when something comes in a market and we believe that it's a new genre, See, like for example, when these text messages, which is a different genre as well, text messages conversation, like LOL, or we call it, or for example, um, um, like BTW, right? So all these are the text message genre, only like related to the conversation. So when these different types of, when these genres, when you are not following a conventions, sometimes you are allowed to do that. Why? Because it 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 is fine to communicate in a short form of language. It is giving you some benefit. So um, like you text more fast, it's sometimes it's allowed. So it emerged as a new genre when it started. But now when you see, we add when we are communicating, we have added smileys with that, and now it has become something else. So people now communicate through smileys as well. So these are the different things which comes in, when we talk about genre. Okay. The example is of a scientific article. What are the set of the conventions dating to 1660? Durable, basic form across times and media, variation across disciplines. So you might not be able to properly see it, but let me um, clarify it to you. We have this is the genre of a scientific article, right? What is in the scientific article? We see that there is an abstract. We see that it is taken from a textbook. We have article in popular science magazine, or we have science blogs, or we have conference papers, or all these, right, are the part of scientific articles. So when you look at any scientific article, you'll see that there is a proper structure that we follow. So we have introductions, we have methods, we have results, we have discussions. All these things are there. What is the kind of uh, what is the kind of register that we use? These are the textual characteristics in any scientific article. So you'll see that it has an introduction, and then it has methods, it has results, it has discussion as well. Then we have register. In we have discussed this register, and in register, like, that is what kind of communication, what kind of word choices are used. So in that, you see that um, the kind of relation that we have with the kind of relational sentences are there. And you see more passive voices used, because you don't want to be very active in research article, because you cannot say that I say that it is happening, I say that covid is happening due to this thing. No, research says, or um, research states that research shows that covid can be controlled, or something like that. So you'd find that a nominalization is also there, like tion words are used a lot when it comes to um, scientific articles. And it happens a lot that it's over there. Complex noun phrases and high lexical density. Complex noun phrases are also there. That is, one phrase would have many multiple words, multiple adjectives maybe, or determiners, you can say in simple words. You will have, in a noun phrase, you'll have different determiners. And we have different like you'd see that when you are reading a scientific article, you will find difficult terminologies over there as well. So in scientific article, it has these textual characteristics. In intertextuality, strict rules of referencing statements. So you see that they are you would not understand it at this point, but let me explain it to you, that when someone is saying something in research article, they cannot say it from their own perspective. That is, they cannot say that directly stating it that COVID is caused by, or for example, flu is caused um, by this virus, right? uh, or this disease is caused by this bacteria. No, what is, from who is saying that? What is the referring, what is the, where is the reference? So you might not find, um, you might not find any statement like that. So when they are stating something that this virus causes these symptoms in the body, so they use one, references, that is citations, which are that, for example, um, this doctor conducted this research and he stated that there is this virus which is causing these symptoms in the patients, and then you link another sentence with that and you say that therefore we can say that the similar symptoms are also present in this, so, and the disease is like has increased, and the increased symptoms of the same disease show that it has developed now, as we are hearing in COVID as well, and that the virus has developed itself and adapted itself. So when, like, there is this relationship between these two sentences, and then so intertextuality is also there, like relationship between the text is also there in the scientific article. Like you cannot say anything abruptly, just like you do in normal communication. Like for example, in oral communication I can shift from one topic to another within seconds, but in scientific article you cannot. And there is a relationship between every sentence, every statement that you are stating. Visuals often provide evidence in graphs, photographs, and other images. And you might have seen that in research articles, there are images provided, but those images are not random images of a person who is, sneezing. No, they provide evidence through the form of uh, which are related with the article, like there are graphs and images that show you evidence, or maybe there is the picture of a virus, in microscopic image of a virus, how it looks like and how it has developed. So these kind of visuals are used. Length is usually restricted. You would not see an article more than 7 pages or 8 pages. So like I'm talking about research papers, articles, research articles, scientific articles, but it is restricted. If you look at a book, which is, even if it's the book of science, it is not, because it's not article. So it cannot end in 7 pages. Can you write that a 7 pages book is a book? No, it is not a book. It's an article. So a book cannot be, based on its length, it cannot be of 7 pages. Process. It traces in text of peer review system, priority system, funding system, and assistance. Okay, you would not understand this as well because you haven't written any scientific article. I'll try to explain it to you. That is, there is certain process that you follow to publish that scientific article, right? Mm, it is like once you write an article, you proofread it from someone, right? Then when there is no mistake, you send it to the review. Then it is reviewed and they find whether it is correct or not. If there are any discrepancies in the research article, they try to ask the writer, the author, to correct it. Once it's corrected, then it goes to the further step, and then maybe this article, scientific article, is funded or is not funded, or you have spent a lot of money on that. All these things are the part of process, and then towards the end it is then um, published. But it is published, whether it is published based on the it is published because people were publishing something in the article, or when, sorry, in the newspaper or in somewhere else in a journal, or is it that they are um, or is it that you had to pay for that article to be published? It varies. It in both cases, it is a standard process that you follow when you are publishing a scientific article. I'll explain this genre class as expository in the coming slides. Okay. As we have already discussed, that genres can be identified by text observable features, that is, lexis, clause structure, modality, and intertextuality. We have already discussed that it has a communicative purpose, like either you want to inform, you want to instruct, you want to entertain. And comparing it to the functionally and formally, if similar genres. For example, a lecture is functionally similar to a seminar and formally similar to a speech. So more or less they are same. We have already discussed register, that is something which is predictable and in the form of words and sentence structures and different words. We have already discussed this in sociolinguistics. And style, we have already discussed in detail, a complete lecture on style in sociolinguistics as well. Okay, coming towards genres, text types are communicative actions that many people engage in repeatedly, emerge from stereotypical social acts. Already discussed. Examples are given: get well cards, or letters of applications, or CVs, or PowerPoint presentations. They have particular purpose and some predictable structures related to these purposes. Form follows functions. We've already discussed that. Uh, that is, if there is uh, this structure which is followed, and they have particular purpose that they want to achieve. So, for example, if someone is um, giving a lecture, the purpose is to give the information to the people who are listening to that lecture. Usually have names recognized by group members and our group and our uh, members resources. You know about them because you are a member of a group using them. I'll give you example in this stance that um, you would be unable to understand that specific communication unless and until you are not the part of that group. For example, the communication that is happening between two doctors, you aren't aware of that. When they are discussing some patient, or they want to conclude the diagnosis, you aren't aware of that conversation completely, because you will be able to know once you are the part of that group. You don't know how businessmen communicate in business field, because uh, these owners of big companies, because you aren't the part of that. So you'll only be able to understand unless and until you are not the part of that group, the communication of media discourses, right? So you only know certain discourse type or certain text type when you are the part of that group, or so somehow you are not the direct part of that group, but you at least for example, we know the communication which is happening in the workshops, because we know, because we are listening to that, so we know about it, right? It's not necessary that you're directly the part of that group, but indirectly as well. These are related to text types, related to the genres, are related to the social realms, that is, they are the part of society. So students life is, you understand what is the language of university's prospectus, or how the exam papers are, or how the lectures are, or how the posters are. It is something which is understood by which is related to the student's life. So it is the part of social realm. It is happening right in the society. It can be hybrid or mixed. That is, you can have mixed genres as well. It's not necessary that it will always be in the purest form. So um, emerging genres are often based on the forms or functions to establish genres. For example, reality TV based on documentary, and series and game shows, blogs on diaries. We see that things are changes. So, for example, if there is, some change, or some change form of the genre, it is there. As I've given you the example of articles, so now we see that there are articles on blogs as well. So this is something which can be hybrid or mixed, or can be in the very pure form. It can take various modes as well. That is, it can be language, it can be visual, it can be music. For example, crime novels, or you can have, like, within crime novels, as we have discussed, suspense novels, right? So we can see that in crime novels, you have the use of language is there, right? In novels you have the use of language. And so we only have language in the novels, right? But then there is this alter tri-pitch. It's the kind of a paintings in which with three panels to it. So it's like kind of different dimensional kind of painting. So that uses the mode of visuals. And then we have soul ballad, and in soul ballad is a kind of genre in which music is used as a mode. So in all these three, the different examples are given, that the mode can vary from language to visuals to music, or it can be the merge of all these three, like in which there can be language, there can be visuals, and there can be music as well. As we have already discussed that in scientific articles, they also use visuals as mode as well. It's not necessary that it's only language that they use. Okay, we have different classes of genre. For example, we have subject matter. So when it comes to subject matter, we look at it as uh, how the content is given. So we label it as a crime novel, or we label it as depending on the content that it has, and we give it a name as of this genre, whether it is a crime novel or it's romance or whatever type it is, right? Then we have function and purpose. We see that what is the function or the purpose of that genre, and based on that function and purpose, we determine that they are advertisements, as they are persuasive. Then we have or for example, when you are giving information regarding some topic, so it can be lectures, um, truth claims. Then there are certain genres in which we have truth claims, and those genres are for example, fiction or documentary, or any comment as well. So we see that people try to uh, you know uh, we see truth claims in that type of genre, where we see documentaries and something like that. And even in fiction, sometimes people try to give some truth claims about the society. um, then we have affect, and that effect is actually, for example, we have like thriller or comedy or tragedy. It is the effect is actually in based on the genres. We see that it affects the um, the receiver of that message. That is, in thriller, the way people react, or the comedy or the tragedy, like how um, how is it affected, uh, like how it affects, right? So when it's comedy, it makes everyone laugh, right? And that's how we label or class the genre. Forms and mediums, it varies based on forms and mediums as well. We have different classes based on forms and mediums as well. For example, we have musical or radio play or sonnet or all these, which are based on the form and medium. Because medium is like, we have dramas, but we have a drama in written form, and then we have dramas on TV as well. So we say TV drama, right? So it's like based on the form and medium. It's it is also a class in genre. Then we have different we have these four procedural genres, expository genres, or hortatory genres, or narrative genres. So we have these different types when it comes to that. Classes within the classes of genres, we have procedural genres. What are procedural genres? And procedural, as the word suggests, we see that there is some kind of instructive purpose, that is how to kind of communication is there in those genres. That is how to do things, like for example, when you see a recipe or a manual, so in that you see that there are some procedural, these are the types of procedural genres, where you see that you are given instructions of how to do a certain thing. And in those texts, they are non-specific person, that is, they are not for one specific person, they are for everyone who is taking the product, or who is who wants to make the, make the whatever dish, right? They That is non-specific person. It is goal oriented. What is goal oriented? Goal oriented is that towards the end of this completing this text, the person would be able to know how to do that thing, right? So it's a goal oriented. And we have all kinds of tenses in that. We can have present tense, we can have present tense as well as past tense in that as well. So it's not mentioned here, but if you see in that, you may also use past tense in both of these. Once you have done that, you can add it, right? So in past tense, we can use past tense in that. We have chronological links, that is, it must be in chronological order. So procedural genres are always in chronological order. You would see chronological order over there. That is, it's in the sequence, right? And it may also have imperatives. Then we have expository then we have expository genres. What are expository genres? They are for informing purposes. That is, for example, essays. So it is like, there's description in that, explanation and interpretation is also involved in that. You may have third person communication over there. And based on the subject matter, it has logical links as well. So it's more, it has logical links, because essay without any links is useless. So whatever whatever the purpose is, that is informing, you have to go through logical links. That um, that is how you'd be able to know that it is expository. It comes under expository genres. And then we have hortatory genres. In that, you persuade someone. And for example, we have advertisements or commentary, where you are trying to persuade some person. The aim is to influence the behavior or attitudes of a person. In that, you have second person use, and addressees. It is more addressee oriented. That is, you will benefit from that if you buy it, or it's going to benefit you, or it's good for you, or So it's a lot more, addressee oriented. You may have commands and suggestions in advertisements as well, and there is a logical link, but sometimes it is pseudo. Why pseudo? Because it is, for persuasion you may use pseudo links as well. To persuade someone, you have to sometimes, create links which is not at all necessary. So it may also have it may also be prescriptive as well in when it comes to advertisements and commentary. We have narrative genres, as the word suggests, narrative genres. You have maybe storybooks, or all these are these comes in narrative genres, where it's entertaining, or informing, or it can also be persuading purpose. We have in stories first or third person pronoun, or it's for the first and third person. Actor, it is more actor oriented, and that is uh, the story is not about you, right? Not about, as it is in advertisements. The story is about the actor, about the person who is the part of the story, right? We have past and present tense, which is used in the narratives mostly, and they have chronological order because it is a story. It has to be in a chronological order. But chronological order doesn't mean that it will always follow a chronological order. That is, sometimes it has chronological links. That is, your story may start from the, from the age of person who, when he was at the age of 60, and he can go back in the memories, and you, like, you can understand the narrative. Still you can understand the narrative, but there is a chronological link because it's some kind of memory, or he is telling a story to someone or something like that. So we can say that it is the part of the um, narrative genres. All these stories are the part of the narrative genres. Okay, how would you identify a genre in the text? If you look at this, you'd see that it is by looking at the conventional format of that. If you see, this is the headline, it is the direct address. That is, a true private bank is one that makes you wonder if you are the only client. And by reading just this thing, I understood that it is an advertisement of a bank. And you can see that this is the headline, it's the direct address, it is the logo is also given of the bank, and they have given the slogan, that is, your success is our benchmark. So if someone has given the logo, um, it means that it is something which is personal representation. And when it is represented, and they are trying to tell you what is the right bank, and then they are giving you the benefits of what you're gonna get with that, what you're going to get with that, and the details are given at the bottom, and then you recognize that it is an advertisement. Okay, this is another text from to identify a genre. To us, each client is unique, and each portfolio is different. When you start reading this, what do you get to know? You see that it starts with to us, right? It it is some kind of a relationship that they are showing, us and you, which is exclusive we. So when they are saying to us, it means that they are trying to address someone who is you. It is a kind of pseudo dialogue that they are setting. Why? Because they are setting a pseudo dialogue in a way because the reader cannot reply to that, but they are talking to you, right? They are trying to convince you. So this is the first thing, that is to us. Then they say each client is unique. if you see, it appeals uh, to presume shared values. It's something which is individualism, um, that is this one person. Without this one person, and you are unique, you are special, you are trying to give the person importance over here, right? You are giving importance to the person over here. At Pictet, one of the Switzerland's leading private bankers, right? This is something which is, explanation of this. You will find a privileged and stable partner in your portfolio manager. Your relations are based on trust. Your share, you share decision in a climate of confidentiality, and continued after that, like it's continued. So if you look at those choice of words, you'll see, look at this. One of Switzerland's leading private bankers. It is something which is self-positive representation, right? In quasi-objective mode. Uh, Now, if you look at this, that someone is talking about themselves, that is, they are saying that we are, like, to us, and then giving the importance that you people are the most important, rather than directly saying that to us, who are one of the Switzerland's leading private bankers, or something like that. So rather than saying this, they first mentioned to us each client is unique, means first of all, um, creating individualism and creating shared beliefs, and then saying that uh, Switzerland's leading private bankers. So here they are creating a positive image, but it's here we can see that it is something which is objective, but it is not objective. You see that one of the Switzerland's leading, it's not objective, it's very subjective over here, but we see that it we perceive it as something which is objective. And here saying that the client is very unique. Um, for example, here in when you are selling something, like or when you are buying something, you might go to you might go to a shopkeeper, and the shopkeeper says, "Bibi sirf taso da para dumra," right? So nana ta da para sirf dumra vem. Like it's not like they are giving you importance that it is the offer is only for you, so please take it, because you are the special, you are the unique one. That's why I'm giving you. These are the techniques within the language that are used to sell some product. So here it's also an advertisement, so that's how it is incorporated here in advertisement as well. Then coming towards this sentence, you'd see that appeal to presumed shared values, that is long-term personal relationship. You'll see that stable partnership. So you are given a more positive image of that, so that you can go ahead and take it. And then we can see that how your portfolio manager, that is, you already have a portfolio manager, which we believe that it's already there. So they are actually targeting a specific group, someone who already has got this thing, right? For them, we are the one they need to contact. So when we look at all these points, we based on these all, we can say that it is an advertisement, and we prove it through all these points that it is an advertisement. Okay. Within discourse, we know that language is used. If language is used as a social practice that is based on knowledge. According to Stubbs, any unit of language beyond the sentence is discourse. According to Foucault, a whole way of thinking and the social structure that goes with it, not particularly linked to the language. It's not just not just linked with the language, but it is also the way people think and the social structure that goes with it, right? um, Even the thinking process of that is discourse and the way it is linked with the society. And then we have a form of knowledge and memory as expressed in language. So the way, if you look at a discourse, it is a form of knowledge and memory as expressed in the language. So whatever you say has some kind of knowledge and memory which is expressed through the language, and that is discourse. um, Language use as a social practice that is based on and shapes cognition. Cognition is that thinking process, right? That you your understanding of something and your thinking process is also determined by how the language is used, and it is used as a social practice, right? um, and for example, when we say that it's like uh, political discourse based on sociocognitive representation of the opposition. So if you look at political discourse, in all the political discourse, you will see the same thing, that is opposition is represented in some kind of negative terms. You see that it is like that, right? Then we have discourses which is it's the differences in discourse and discourses. Discourses is the different ways of representing aspects of the world. That is um, a, s- a simple discourse is language which is used as a social practice, right? And discourses are the different ways of representing aspects of the world. So for example, when we say this specific type of discourse is actually discourses, that is political discourses, or teacher student discourses, or discourse on marriage, or all these are types of discourses. These are discourses. However, discourse is just a language used as a social practice, and which changes our thinking, or even that is the part of our thinking, right? It's portrayed in language. um, for example, they have given you the example of conservative discourse on marriage. So uh, we see that um, these are the different types of discourses. That is a one type of discourse, that is in which we represent a world. uh, in that we can there are other ways of classifying discourses as well, not just through the way it is represented, the world is represented. It can also be related with the time and country and different things. If you look at this example, we can see that there are discourses within this text. It's the same example that we discussed from the ad, that is, um, to us each client is unique, and each portfolio. If you see, these are the discourses within these discourse. You see, we have stable partners, we have relations, we have trust, we have confidentiality. These all are the discourses, the types of discourses that we have. In here we are targeting the relationship, here we are targeting the relationship, here we are uh, targeting the trust, here we are targeting confidentiality. So we are targeting the kind of relationship stability and positivity. We are targeting all these things over here. These are the discourses within the discourse or within the text. Okay, we have these are the two types of critique that we can have on our society, because when it comes to discourse analysis, we are actually analyzing discourse to find out some aspect of the conversation, as we have already discussed it in the classes as well, that when someone is saying something, you get to know the implied meaning through the way they are communicating. So when we analyze a discourse, we are trying to extract some kind of ideology from that, some kind of meaning from that, and then we, based on that one meaning. So For example, in research you are taking discourse analysis and you want to try to find out the aspect of feminism in that, or for example the aspect of materialism from the perspective of Marxism, right? Or just racial differences, the way we treat women and the way we treat, or the way we treat sorry or the way we treat black and white. So these are the differences, right? When we are trying to analyze it, we try to look at the language, we try to look at the language in detail and how it works, how these how language is represented in a society, how language is representing the society. We analyze it from discourse analysis perspective. There are two critiques that we can make on that. The first one is explanatory and the second one is normative critique. In explanatory critique, we try to seek to explain why social realities are as they are and how they are sustained or changed, right? What makes a given social order work, or what might facilitate changes as well as obstruct it. So we try to answer these questions through the analysis. We give an explanatory critique, that is, we seek the reasons for the social realities to be the way they are. We seek the reasons for that, and we see how they are sustained or how they are changed. like um like for example, females are like, everyone has formed their stereotypical every culture has formed their stereotypical representation of women. If you want to try to find it out, you try to explain why those social realities are the way they are, why women are considered, talkative or naive, or how these are sustained or changed. Because if you see now, things are changes. Previously used to people used to think that females are supposed to stay at home, but now they are not, right? What makes a given social order work? If you look at the things in a society, how this social order is working, um, how a powerful person is still powerful, or how even women in one home are acting with one another. For example, mother-in-law is more powerful in our society. Mother-in-law is more powerful than the daughter-in-law. So how these social orders are working, because that's how it works when it comes to females. um, what are the factors which facilitate such kind of roles? It's men who are facilitating it, or is it the females themselves who are facilitating such roles? Or how it can be, uh, the change, as well as the problems that are faced with related to those factors. So explanatory critique is why any social reality is as you know they are. Includes both explanation of particular types and forms of the discourse as effects of social causes, and explanations of social phenomena as partly um, effects of discourse. So you have to use this discourse um, as a um, representation. So it would include both the explanation of the particular types and forms of the discourse which are used in that perspective, and any social reality that you're analyzing. uh, you would look at you'd look at the discourse types, and you would look at the discourse forms in that, and how they are you know affected. Then we have normative critique, in which you criticize any norm, right? Any norm that is which is harmful for the well-being of someone, which is any social realities which is considered okay, which is considered norm, but it is harmful for the society. So if you have to look at those forms and those discourses. Evaluation evaluates social realities against the standard of values taken as necessary to a good society, one which serves and facilitates human norm or being. For example, corporal punishment, which used to be considered as something which is, important for any child to work well in the schools, and how these punishments are um, accepted, or you can or how they are put into the words, right? Like for example, even the power relationships these politicians have, the way they use the language, something that is considered normal, but it is not for the good of the society overall, right? You look at those discourses, and you see uh, how these inequalities, or something which is not good for the society is, but it is a norm in our society, is used, and is put in the language. You have to, that type of critique is called the normative critique. Okay. Cognitive aspect of discourse analysis, in we have when you are analyzing something, you have three levels through which you can analyze it: meso, macro, meso, and micro level. Now, you might not be able to see it properly, so I'll say it over here so that you may know what I'm saying. In micro level, we have the social context which is involved, that is situational, institutional, and societal. So at the macro level, right? At the macro level, you look at the conversation, at the ideologies, the dominant ideologies. That is at the macro level. You look at how you look at the text, and um, you look at those social contexts where these dominant ideologies are working. I'll give you the same example, and that same example is, for example, inequality based on gender, inequality based on race, inequality based on anything, right? Maybe on social classes basis. So or materialism, that is something which is a dominant ideology, right? A dominant thought. And you look at uh, that at the macro level. So at the macro level, you have social context which is involved, means it is present everywhere. The discourses which are present everywhere, and the discourses which are the part of the society on the basis of social context. Then we have meso level. Meso level is something which is related to the discourse practice context, that is related to the um, procedural scripts, that is related to only the discourse. So it is the representation of discourse, participants, and genres, means it is related with the meso level. So here at micro level, we look at the discourses which are this with the social context. Here we look at the discourses which is the discourse practice context, right? And here micro level, we look at only text. If you remember, we have discussed it previously as well in classes, when classes were at campus. So we discussed it, that how discourse analysis and text are related with one another. So we look at text, right? Based on that text, we look at how, in this one specific context, one specific discourse context, these terminologies are used, and what is the meaning of that discourse. And then we link it with the social context, which is a major problem. So we look at the text, only text at micro level. We look at we take it to the discourse level, discourse practice context. So for example, we are looking at the problems faced by the students and teachers. We look at the text, we look at the language from the student and teachers teacher's language, only text, and then we try to look at it with a discourse practice context, that is, for example, my own class. And that one discourse practice context we take to the macro level, and then we compare it. We use situational, institutional, and societal problems for that, and we identify it. So that's how we do discourse analysis at three different levels. But all these three different levels we can take help from, not at this level, but we can take help from genres in this, when analyzing it at the three levels. We can do that. It has three important things that we need to discuss, that is goals, features, and devices that we use when it comes to um, discourse analysis and genre. Discourse goals. The overall aim that the discourse producers pursues by using language as a social practice. For example, outgroup denigrations and self-enhancement, or vice versa. For example, what is the goal of a politician? When a politician talks about themselves, so they are all praises about themselves. हमने ये किया, हमने वो किया, हमने ये किया, हमारी पार्टी ने ये किया. And when they are talking about the other opposition, they'll be उन्होंने ये तबाही डाली, उन्होंने ये तबाही डाली. So it's like whether they are talking about something which is related to, positive, or something which is related to they are degrading someone, or whether they are saying something which is or let's suppose whether they are communicating only for the purpose of giving information. Okay, fine. For example, a politician is saying, okay, fine, we are planning to do this. It is just for the information purpose. It is not for any other purpose. They're just trying to give information over here, but underlying this information there is um, certain reason that they are communicating. That reason is that they want votes from you. So you have certain discourse goals. Any discourse is for a goal, right? There is a goal. So discourse goals are reflected in genre communicative purposes. For example, um, um, other enhancements or flattery can be persuasive. So in a genre communicative purpose, where you are trying to praise someone, for example, when teachers are being praised a lot by someone, they know there is something, uh, there's some flattery over there, and it is for the persuasive purpose. It is for some purpose that it is happening, because someone is trying to get benefit. Then we have discourse functions. Discourse functions are the means as effects of language use by which discourse goals are realized. Functions are those things by which the goals are achieved. So if you want to be polite, you are achieving some kind of goal. If you are being impolite, you are still achieving some kind of goal, some kind of function. And that function is the kind of effect that um, that you are creating through the use of language. So if you are polite, or you're respectful, then you are trying to create some kind of uh, you're performing some kind of function in that. There's a function in that, right? And if you are impolite, you want to, like, let's suppose you're swearing, and it means that you are impolite, and your impoliteness is for a certain purpose. So you achieve that certain goal through being impolite. You achieve that goal through being impolite. That is the discourse function. Then a discourse feature. In discourse feature, we have it's the means through which the discourse functions are realized. So how would you be impolite, or how would you be polite? You'd be polite because you are not using swear words. You are again and again using honorifics, that, or you're saying Mr. So and so, and this is something that is telling you that it is related to politeness. Or using swear words is something which is the part of discourse feature, which is making it making the function more impolite, through which you achieve a certain goal, right? Then we have linguistic and conversational devices. Linguistic and conversational devices are the concrete linguistic and conversational forms. So, as I just said, that you are using some kind of, features, as for example, you are using honorifics, and those honorifics can be of so many kinds. So, those concrete linguistic words that you are using, or the conversational devices that you are using, um, are through like through language. You are actually um, they are actually the part of discourse features, right, through which these discourse features takes place. And then, for example, this turn taking. Turn taking is when you give turn to the other person. So when you, or for example, when you try to interrupt someone, so unless and until someone has not given you the turn, that is, they have when they ask you a question, it means that you are given a turn. Let's suppose, if I ask you a question and I say, now, you say some words about that. Now it is now your turn, like I have given you the term, so I'm being polite and I have given you the term, and a turn. And then this is a discourse feature, turn taking. But sometimes you interrupt, right, or you take your own turns. Then the interruption is something which is the linguistic device, right, through which, concrete linguistic device through which your discourse features are achieved. And then through these discourse features, the function is achieved, and through this discourse function. So when you interrupt, you are actually violating one of the turn taking rules, and when you are violating one of the turn taking rules, you are being impolite. And when you are being impolite, you want to achieve certain goals, that I don't care who you are, but I am someone. So this is how these goals, features, and devices are used to create some kind of discourse goals. And they all are related with speech genres as well. So this is a specific genre, as we have already discussed over here. Okay. Um, we have summary that uh, is necessary, that we should look at, and then you'll understand the whole lecture as well. That we have certain discourse goals. For example, persuasion. We want to persuade someone, right? We do it through discourse features, for example, evaluation, and it can also be done through linguistic devices, for example, adjectives. These discourse goal, that is persuasion, can be the uh, can be through advertisement. But that advertisement is, for example, the part of a specific genre, right? So the whole goal discourse goal is persuasion, which is related, and every persuasion has a certain genre, and that genre is maybe advertisements, because in advertisements you have persuasion over there. But then when we look at it with the discourse feature, with the discourse feature, that is evaluation. For example, evaluation, you have within this advertisement, it can be, for example, TV ad. It's not necessary that it will always be, it can also be a newspaper ad as well. It's not necessary that it will always be a TV ad. But you have to look at the genre, and when you look at the discourse features, you'll know which genre is that. Because You know that in discourse features you cannot have its visual is it has different features which are related to it will have visuals, and it will have turn taking as well, because one person is talking and the other is, so it would automatically become to the it will fall under, within that it will fall under TV ad, and then within that it will fall under specific TV ad, and then you will analyze its text in detail with linguistic devices. That is, with, you know, what are the linguistics devices which are, it is extremely good product for your health, and it's very healthy, and adjectives very very healthy, right? these linguistic devices these linguistics devices are going to be the part of the text that you are analyzing, right? And the goals that you have analyzed would lead to the text, and the would lead to the context. So it goes like this: analyzing a discourse goal through the linguistic devices, but linguistic devices would always remain the part of the text only, and then which would be the micro level, the text would be the micro level. And then we have discourse features which are going to be the part of the um, meso level, right? The meso level. And you can involve context in that as well, which is genre, for example TV ad. But when it comes to a social context, like context is also there, and we have social context, which is the part of major goal, discourse goal, major discourse goal. And major discourse goal is the part of only advertising. So when we talk about advertising, it is a social context. Like social context means that overall advertising is convincing someone or persuading someone to get something. And then when you make it more contextual, it will come to the meso level, where certain features will be used to achieve this persuasion goal. Now it's not necessary that always all the ads, all the advertisements have this one goal, social goal, which is at the micro, which is at the macro level, social context. But not all goals, not all discourse goals of persuasion, not all advertisements will be using the same discourse features. They may vary. Those discourse features may vary. Every ad will be using different discourse features and different linguistic devices to achieve this goal, but it will always remain the same genre, advertising. But then this may also uh, vary, and then we have different types of genres in the advertising as well. I hope it is clear to you all. Okay, these are some questions to understand how restaurant menus are the part of a genre. They are different type of a genre. So you can ask yourself these questions and then answer these questions, and you'll know whether how restaurant menus can be proved to be a different, different genre, and how you'll be able to find out that, how you'll be able to know that the specific genre can be identified. You, by asking all these questions, you can identify uh, a specific genre, if it falls under all if it falls under the novel, if it falls under the um, category of restaurant menus or advertising, or whatever, whatever the genre is. Thank you.